All right. I'm Kurt Hauswirth with Public Radio 90 WNMU FM, and this is an edition of the Local Spin. My guests today are members of the WhoDat Brass Band. We've got Scott, Roscoe, Luke, and Bud, and actually Scott and Roscoe are related, and it's good to see all of you in the same room together. Glad we could get together.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so now I understand the WhoDat Brass Band, you guys were just a guest at the Live at the Fold concert series. Do you want to start by just telling us how that went?
Well, it was a lot of fun because we haven't played anywhere in about 6 months now, other than in our rehearsal spaces here and there. So it was really good to have something to get out and prepare for, and see how we're doing after not being in front of an audience. Of course, the difference is there's not an audience there. So I don't know, it was a little stressful actually. We're sort of used to playing a room where there's people kind of interacting with the group. Yep. Or maybe there's a beer in everybody's hand, that sort of thing, but you're just in a room with a camera. A little different.
Just like right now, we're all super nervous.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason to be nervous for sure, but it's good to hear that you guys had an opportunity to at least kind of flex the muscles and get the music flowing again. So now you all are like a horn-led ensemble. That's the description here in Marquette. And how long have you all been together in some version?
Well, my dad, Scotter here, taught me my scales on piano when I was 5. So we've been playing for a real long time. Maybe 7, between 5 and 7.
WhoDat Brass has been around with the name for 5 years.
That's right, yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Year 6.
All of us have known each other and played together in different groups for more than 10 years, I'd say at least.
Okay, yep, and I definitely recognize, and I've spoke with some of you before in different capacities as well. I mean, you're all members of this collective Marquette music scene in more than one respect. So that's really cool that you can continue to share that as members of the WhoDat Brass Band as well. And you all also just recently put out an album. It was a live performance album, right? Is that what you shared with me, Bud, right?
Yeah, we did it in sort of one take for the most part. It was actually in this room with Luke here doing the production side of things.
Awesome.
So it's 17 takes on that new album. We came in here and made 20. I had to edit 3 to get it to fit. So it's just a one-take thing. There's no do-overs in jazz music.
Yeah, and that's one of my next questions too. So you're brass led, and you have a trombonist. And what other instruments are kind of the usual for any permutation of
soprano saxophone?
Got soprano saxophone for Scotter, and frequently we've performed in the past with sousaphones, the marching tuba. Luke is a very skilled multi-instrumentalist, guitar player, tubist, hip-hop producer, so he can do it all. We got another tuba player on call. We've had a couple trumpet players and other trombone players in and out, depending on the scale of the gig. What we see here is the core of the band.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen some live photos, from under the tent over at the Ordock, or at the upstairs at the Ordock as well. And I'm sure the gig depends on who's going to be called upon for who's going to play. So were the 4 of you mostly involved with this most recent live recording?
Yep.
Yeah. That's just us.
Just us.
Okay. Gotcha. Now, we know Scotter and Roscoe, you have the connection naturally there within the family. How did all of you meet and decide to, have a brass band that's in the Marquette area?
That's a good question.
Is that mostly from that one gig?
Well, I think it starts with buying the sousaphone.
Oh yeah.
So
it's framed around there.
It's must have been 6 or 7 years ago, maybe. There was a sale up at the Marquette High School bus garage, and they had all this old abandoned marching band equipment and stuff. And I went in there with $50, and they let me pick through a pile of sousaphones and disassemble them until I had one that mostly worked. Nice. And then we brought it home and played around with it for a while. And then Luke came over one day and we painted it purple. Good times, right?
That was like that beautiful first spring day of the year.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. We had no idea.
And you put a microphone and you drilled a microphone.
Well, that's further along. I think our first gig was actually a parade for the Langyap at Mardi Gras, probably 2014 or 15.
It was February 9th of 90.
Your birthday?
Yeah, it was 96.
96.
I mean,
26 2016.
man,
The
2016.
history has
As I recall, it was like -10 and a blizzard.
Yeah, it was cold.
And we were trying to figure out how we were going to march with brass instruments outside in that temperature. And
To keep it under 10 minutes. And you're,
yeah, well, our solution was, you know, I've heard
Oh,
about
yeah.
people putting antifreeze in their horns before. That stuff's toxic. So I picked the next least toxic thing. It was a bottle of 151 Everclear grain liquor. And we put that in a spray bottle and hosed down the instruments.
Yeah.
It actually worked.
Oh,
The rest is history.
maybe warms you up a little bit too when it's that cold
Oh,
outside. And how did you guys keep everything in tune? I mean, it sounds like it was a 10-minute gig or so.
Yeah, we walked up and down Washington Street and then through Remy's.
Yep.
And then into the back of the lanyard again. So
Wow.
we didn't stay warm, actually. My slide did freeze, but it made it like most of the way around until we got to Remy's warm, just singing and clapping.
yep.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's kind of a party atmosphere with the ensemble too, and like a little rough and tumble, you know, talking about that situation there. Is that kind of like some of the core behind what you all do? Like, do you want it to feel like it's kind of that party atmosphere no matter where you play?
Well, it ain't nothing but a party.
Right.
We do like to have a good time, but the music's not about partying per se, as much as it's about, you know, finding a meaningful connection.
It's an energy thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, you know, sometimes devolves into just partying. It comes from, I think, that sort of place, like that exchange of energy. So like we said earlier, it's kind of weird when we're playing a show without people present, because there's that feedback between the audience and, you know, the music that is kind of nice and informs a lot of the music that we make. So
Yeah. Well, and speaking of what kind of music you make, and how do you all decide on what music to play and perform in any of your gigs? I know part of it has to do with the instrumentation, but is there kind of a go-to list of standards that you all pick from, or do you kind of bring different songs to the table and say, hey, maybe
Whoever wants to, whatever anyone wants to play. I mean, when we all agree on it, we'll learn it. You know, if there's vetoes, you got to figure something else out. I say a huge thing is we're trying to turn people on to music that they haven't heard before, especially in Marquette. Maybe if you came up in Chicago or New York, you'd hear these things. But we put a different way of playing older music from 50, 60, 70 years ago, and make it a whole different way.
At the same time, a lot of our cover repertory comes from more modern pieces, or we'll take something from like a more modern pop music or hip hop dialogue or rock and roll even, and then take it our own way through the lens of jazz.
Sure. Yeah. And that sounds again like that exchange of energy, Luke, that you were talking about too, with, you know, whatever kind of energy inspires you all. And that's, I think that's a really good, you know, idiom or a good philosophy to have beside an ensemble, especially with, you know, a multitude of people. So coming back to how the pandemic has changed things too, especially with maybe this loss of energy that you might get from an audience, what were your thoughts when the pandemic became part of our reality, and how did that affect decisions about getting the band together?
yeah, I wouldn't want to overstate, how do you say it? I wouldn't want to it's so much fun playing with each other here that like, there doesn't have to be someone else in the room. I guess that would be my point. Like, it's nice to have other people in the room and, you know, play into that, but like, it's just fun to, you know, and we're, like we said, the covers that we choose are all songs that we enjoy and like to play. So, I guess to answer your question, like, we stopped getting together for more of because we were following like guidelines where you're not supposed to have people from many households together, but
we warmed up and we started playing in my backyard.
yeah, we started playing more and more, and like, it was more like the lack of gigs that was the buzzkill on, but it's still like it's the same show. It's like we're playing a show when we get together in your backyard.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing,
It's longer,
but we're at a different venue.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
Yeah. It was a little tough. I mean, we had a couple gigs on for the summer that got axed. Our last performance publicly before the lockdown must have been 2 or 3 weeks before it. And and we didn't rehearse for a little while, and then there we all were, you know, kind of doing our own things. We were lucky to have, I believe, 2 outdoor appearances this last summer. One of them at the Social Aid and Pleasure Club in Eagle Harbor. It's been kind enough to host us there for 4 years running, in as distance as we could, way up on top their porch. And I think we played outside downtown once as well. But
On 4th of July.
And we did 2 busker things.
Yep. And that was pretty
On
chill.
4th of
Folks were just
July.
walking by, and you know, it was a good time for that, I think.
Did you all feel like you were, I mean, you mentioned that some of the gigs got cut from the summer and from other occasions. After you released that album, or when you did that live performance that turned into this latest album, do you feel like there was like an upslope to like any momentum that you all had planned for the year of 2020 that got kind of swept away? Or is it, again, more of this feeling of, you know, we're going to play whether there's an audience or not?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
It's more focus internally kind of
Yeah,
time.
I practiced a lot, you know. I didn't want to quit, you know. I get a chance to try to keep personal practice, you know.
Yep.
It's huge.
Yeah. Well, and now going back to performing online, because that's, again, a weird switch for some musicians. You know, how did you all prepare for an online gig with Hiawatha's Live at the Fold? And do you see the group in any form doing more of those kind of online appearances?
Well, I suppose if they're around, we can go do it.
I'd like to have better sound quality.
Yeah, it was a little bit tricky getting our microphone situation set up there. I mean, typically when we play, we don't mic our instruments at all, which is great because we can balance live, but it's kind of tough when you're going into a room like that. I don't know. I would definitely do it again, given the opportunity. But it's tricky, and it's not the same. Did we prepare for it any differently than any normal gig? No. No.
We weren't mic'd individually. It was just one.
Yeah, we just had one condenser mic in front of us.
And
It's
we were.
a little tricky to get the balances right.
Clipping it. It kept clipping.
It's tricky because like the stage plot for us is pretty big
Yeah.
because they like to move around like Roscoe and Scotter. So if you only have one mic, depending on your proximity, you know, you could be quiet over here, but you come over here, it gets louder. And there was no way that we're gonna have like X's on the floor and just stand there.
Yeah,
and play
that's
the whole
not
time.
us either, you know.
So
Oh, man, gotta move.
Yeah, I don't know. So it wasn't my favorite, but I would do it again. There's another few cool shows like that in the area. I think it'd be nice to get on.
Sure. And as the vaccines go around too, hopefully more of those opportunities to go in person and do things, whether it's upstairs at the Ordoc or if it's outside on Spring Street or what have you, hopefully that will be some more opportunities for all of you as well. And just a reminder, we're speaking with members of the WhoDat Brass Band. We've got Scotter and Roscoe, Luke, and Bud all here in the upstairs of, is this Luke's place?
this is, yep.
Yep, I recognize some of the equipment there as well. So that's cool that you have a space, you have a space to do this, you know, whether it's winter, summer, or wherever it might be. What are all of your thoughts on the future of performances? Do you think that, you know, the online thing is more of a trend, like a temporary kind of stopgap until we're safe to do things? Or do you think there's going to be more of that coming in the future?
I like playing live, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't imagine there will be less though. I
Yeah.
mean, even if it's not ideal for me, it's a great way for people to get out there and get heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't think it's going to go away, but I really do hope we come back to live playing.
Yeah, well, it definitely won't replace live music.
No.
You know, there's so much lost in translation between that medium and playing live. So,
Mhm.
but like you said, like there is a lane for it for sure, and
Mhm.
it's kind of cool that it's been bolstered. I mean, it's a silver lining, but that could get developed. But some things, especially like this band,
Mhm.
suffer because you know they suffer in that medium.
Right. And it gets tricky, like
We got
one
recorded,
microphone.
February 12th last year, right before the shutdown.
Right.
And it took a long time to get that edited and finally printed with artwork by Jess Nemi. And it's a real nice. Sound quality is excellent. I like every tune on there.
Awesome. And now I also do have the digital copy of that too. Are there like maybe 2 or 3 tracks that you would all agree on would be good examples of what you might want to feature on the radio sometime?
Yeah, I'd say bike ride be my pick. Anybody else?
I mean, you. It's pretty good as well.
Luke, you got
What do
one?
you think, Scott?
Well, I like Dexter Strut, and then the way that ends, it's pretty out. And we hit
Yeah,
Bamshaw
yeah.
Swing.
Bamshaw
we
Swing.
hit Bamshaw Swing
Yeah.
quickly right after Dexter Strut. That's a song about my kitty cat. That's what it came for. I think that's pretty mean.
That was probably the 4 hottest cuts.
Yeah.
Also,
Out of that, is that 3 originals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2 originals and 2 monk tunes, but
Oh yeah, if it's I mean you. And, yeah.
We've also got -1s on the CD too. That's a pretty good one.
nah, don't do that.
Don't do that one. Don't beat that one.
there's a big
You hear that?
I would say Sweet Honeybee is a darn good one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And so is So Tired.
So there's 6 for you.
Okay. Well, we may just have to recommend for our viewers and listeners just to pick up a copy of that album and just give it a full spin. But I look forward to sharing some of those tracks on the shuffle as well. And, looking forward to hearing whatever it is that comes in the future for, live music, especially with the instruments that you all have as well. Do you guys have like a dream gig that you'd like to see happen sometime this summer?
I want to play at the end of the old Ordock.
I got marching.
Best acoustics in Marquette is at the end of the Ordock. Get the band out there. That's Tina Harris if she'll let us out.
All right, the message is out there. We got to get approval pretty quick. Oh, okay. Well, again, members of the WhoDat Brass Band, Scotter, Roscoe, Luke, and Bud, is there anything else that any of you four would like to add about your experiences with the band so far, or anything you're looking forward to?
I'm just looking for more opportunity to play and keep playing. And I like your programming too, especially that modern classical stuff.
Yeah, it's been
Stick
fantastic.
with it, man.
I
I'm
listen to
digging
every
the
day,
heck
Kurt.
out of it.
Thanks so much. Thank you. And, we'll get the WhoDat Brass Band on the air as well. And again, everyone take a look for them. What's the best way for fans to keep up with all of you? I know there's a Facebook page, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's sort of scantily maintained. We're we're a little ragtag when it comes to our advertising and social media. I'd say probably the most reliable person to get a hold of is Bud Clowers. If you want to find a digital download of the CD, we still have a couple physical copies kicking around too. And we'll try to advertise as it goes.
Right here.
Yeah. we kind of play it by ear.
Luke, show them up close there so you can see the artwork on there. Just need me artwork.
I'd say just look out
There.
for WhoDat Brass.
All right. Well, you heard it yourself. Look out for WhoDat Brass, coming around your block sometime in -10 degrees temperature, or hopefully when it warms up as well. So thank you to all 4 of you for speaking with us here on the Local Spin and on Public Radio 90. It's been great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And along with that conversation with members of the WhoDat Brass, we also took an opportunity to record one of their original tunes. This is one called -1.
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3,
3.
Yeah.
I heard Luke there at all. I didn't.
Don't got his bass.
Well, I was cheesing the whole time over here. That was great, you know? That was
Cool.
awesome. So that was -1, right?
That's right. The original
Okay,
two.
WhoDat Brass with -1 right there. That was awesome. Nice job, guys.